Hey brewers, it's Friday again. Nice to see you. I hope you're happy to see me. I've missed you and your comments. Somebody commented, we asked a little while ago, what would you folks like to see going forward? And someone mentioned pressure fermenting a lager. So that's exactly what we're gonna do today. We've got some Skulls Light, and like, don't get at me, I know I brew Skulls Light for all these things, and be like, Brad, can you brew something else? Reason I brew Skulls Light for most of these experiments is because it's light. There's not a lot to it. There's not a lot of flavor going on. So if there's gonna be any off flavors, if there's gonna be any fucking around, we're gonna taste it with this beer. Whereas if I brewed Bat Country or a Julius or something, we would end up like, we could potentially mask all those off flavors with all that hoppy goodness. This is fucking science, all right? And it's cheap, you know, making these videos ain't free, you know. So, we've got our batch of Skulls Light, and we're gonna do this pressure fermenting 15 PSI at room temperature. So I thought, well, normally I go for like a W3470 or Nova Lager, but I mean, those are notorious for being pretty good to just do at room temperature. So I picked one of the most sulfur making compound yeast that I know of. That's the yeast 2007 Pilsen Lager. When I brewed with this before, if I was like a penny above 12 Celsius, I'd be getting some big old sulfur flavors, and then I'd have to age it forever to get rid of those. So we're gonna try this, and maybe we're gonna have rotten egg beer, maybe we're not. I don't know, I've never actually, like I have pressure fermented before, but usually I do it for, and I'll put the hop bong on there for my IPAs, so I can do pressure transfer and all that. It's a bit of a different game today, something I've never done before. Let's give it a rip. So like I said, this is an all grain, Skulls Light, same way. If you've watched channel at all, you've seen me brew this probably a dozen times now at this point, so I didn't think I'd put you through the whole brew day again. Let's give it a rip, and you know, let me know what's your experience with this? Have you had a lot of sulfur stuff? Have you had great? Is there like basically just any lager strain I can do this now? I don't know. The adventure of homebrewing. Let's fucking go. So. Already obviously popped the popper thingy in there and gave it a shake. That was a couple hours ago, so it's all inflated. Some of the other things like Escarpment, Omega don't actually have one of those. You just go ahead and pitch it. So I've heard, you know, mixed reviews on whether this activator pouch is really actually worth it. Thing about that pouch, you don't want to throw it in the beer. Boom. There we go. So I tighten these on with a wrench. Hopefully they don't leak. I'm gonna have a look at our spunding valve tomorrow morning and make sure it's actually getting pressure, because the tiniest pinhole in here will make it so all this pressure is released. So we can't have that. Like the tiniest pinhole will make it so your airlock doesn't even bubble. Like ones where you can't even find them. Oh, this is the wrong tool. All right, there we go. And put that on. And we will see you in a week. I didn't put oh, you know what? I'm gonna take this apart and we're gonna put the floating dip tube that I never remember to put on. Give me 1 sec. Someone totally busted me last time, so can't have that. Come on. It's just because I'm in a hurry, isn't it? All right. You know, it would have been smart to open this before I did that. We'll give it another spray. There we go. Now we are ready. Well, we'll see you in a couple weeks to see if we've made rotten egg beer. Till then, don't get too fucked up. See you soon.
2 weeks later.
All right, brewers, welcome back. Our fermentation on our Skulls Light with our yeast 2007. It's been 2 weeks, so we are ready to transfer. We're gonna try, this is my first time doing a pressure transfer with a spunding valve. Usually I just do the old open the PRV like so, leave it open, but that can still give you some oxygen absorption. So we're gonna do the spunding valve thing. It's my first time doing this, so let me know if I fucked it up. We'll also know if I fucked it up if we just get a foamy mess. I'm not gonna open it. We're not gonna do a gravity reading. I've done this beer a bazillion times. It fermented. It was only 4%. We're good, okay? Also, I don't feel like doing math. You have to math when there's carbonation in solution. You can't just drop the hydrometer in and expect to get a proper reading. So that's another thing. I gotta do a little bit more research on that one. I don't think it's that hard, but I'm here to drink and have a good time, not here to do math. So let's have a little sippy poo and let's get at her. So, we fermented this at 14 PSI. Ooh, I don't know if you can see that there, Travis. Boom. So from what I've gathered, okay, so we are going to purge this keg to about 17 PSI. We're gonna set our spunding valve on this side at 17 PSI. Then we're gonna actually we're gonna start at 20 and see if that's enough to actually transfer through, because we need the excess pressure to bleed off here, but we wanna keep it at a higher pressure inside here than it was here, or this is gonna foam right up. Like right now, if I pull this PRV, we're instantly gonna start foaming up. It's the opposite of what we want, which I've had some problems with some hoppy beers and such because I didn't do my homework on that. So, first things first. Let's get this bad boy pre-charged. This is another way, if you haven't preset your spunding valve, this is a good way to set it. We're gonna go to 17 there-ish. So right now, we're slowly building. Okay, so we're setting at about, so that's full pressure. Can we go more? Hello? Why are we not going higher than 10 when my regulator is at 18? Well, another fucked up Friday. Yeah, pressure up. I've got it cranked, bud. If I turn this all the way down, do I have a dud spunding valve? Okay, I'm gonna take this off real quick and see. There's not a lot to this. Everything seems to be in order. All right, well, I thought I'd use the new one because it goes higher, but I guess we'll use Old Faithful here. And we'll just turn it up a little bit so it goes past the top. Okay, see, this is working. Perhaps I'm not getting a proper reading on the old tap right here. Maybe that's what it is. Because, you know, this thing's fallen to the ground 10 times. Perhaps that's what the problem is. Wow, one thing you gotta watch, it's a little touchy. See, if I start going down, it's gonna start releasing. So let's go up. Okay, now I'm getting angry. We're just gonna crank this boil. All right, now we're talking. So this is why it's good to test this stuff this way in advance, so you're not trying to transfer and things are starting to foam up and you're wondering what the heck's going on. So my gauge on here because these gauges have hit the deck a few times, just simply wasn't reading the right amount. Our other spunding valve is probably working just fine. So basically I've got this set at just past 15, so I'm gonna assume 17-ish. And we're just gonna dial that back till we get this, which is kind of bass backwards. But wouldn't be fucked up Friday if it wasn't for this. So that's slowing down now. And see, we're just past, like the dial on this particular one only goes up to 15, but it does go past. So we're at, okay. We're learning. Like everything to doing with brewing is learning. The second you stop learning, you're getting dumber. Remember that. And see, now I've gone too far. We'll get it though. All right. This makes me almost want to get another different regulator because, like, what the heck? It's like my regulator says 20, but spunding valve says 14, and it's not leading off yet. Oh yeah, it is. All right, so I finally got this dialed in where I want to be. That, as usual, was more work than I wanted it to be. So now we've got preloaded pressure, so there's already 17 PSI in here. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go up a bit higher than that. I'm actually gonna turn it just a little bit down on this end, and we'll hook it up here. Boom. So we're a little bit higher than we were, which is good. And now, I've already pre-star sand this. You always want, of course, I star sand the keg as well. Star sand all our lines, all our equipment. But you all know about that already. So let's see what's gonna happen here. All right, we hook this up to the out, and then our gas relief is on the other side. So right now, as you can see, there's some star sand going back in. So we're at a higher pressure in here than we are in here. So that's kind of what I expected because we turned this down. So let's go and make that go the other way. Now we're going the other way. This beer's really light, so you can't even really see it in the line, but I saw it moving. And now we wait. And it does appear to be going down for us slowly, so let's go a little bit more. I don't like waiting. And this is why you maintain your regulators and replace the gauges when they get smashed. Because, like, I have no idea. Like, I've been using this to carb beers, and I've probably been carbing to like 8 PSI because this doesn't give me a proper reading. Oh, and see, now we've got some pressure coming through. So notice how we've got no foam going up. We can see based on the Krausen line that we are getting some transferring there, and then we can hear it bleeding off here. So things are working. However, I still want it to go faster. That's right, ladies, I do everything hard and fast. In the words of Bernie Mac, 3 minutes. It's a heavyweight 1-round bout. People done got knocked out in the first round, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so yeah, it's actually not the slowest transfer I've ever done. One problem I have had doing pressure transfers with the floating ball, like with hoppy beers, is there's little springs and the little poppets. I don't know if you remember the poppets video. These little fucking things. Pieces of alien spacecraft. They got a landing gear and everything. No, that's not what they are. What these things do. But the poppets, the springs in the poppets can get clogged with hop matter. So I've had some issues with that. So, and then there's the screen, but then I found that the casing for the screen that goes on here is plastic. So it kind of floats at the top and like really, then it's getting clogged with all that stuff. So like I think next time I'm gonna put some marbles, glass marbles in the screen to weigh it down just a bit. Because even without the floating ball, just the plastic screen still floats at the top. And like, yeah, we don't want it sucking up the sediment at the bottom, but we also don't want all our dry hop matter that's sitting on top just coating the thing and shutting it down. You know, we're all learning, especially me. So now we're starting to get some, even it's okay, it's CO2, but this is what I'm talking about. Like this floating dip tube, it's not a perfect deal. So I'm just gonna do that. It's like you have to get this ball in like to sit just perfect. Maybe I've put a bit too much length on it, which seems like could possibly be the case here. I think I'm gonna cut off maybe 6 inches of this pickup tube because now it's kind of sitting there and not really sinking to where we want it to be. But see, if I was to walk away from this, we'd have just been pushing a whole bunch of CO2 in there and not getting, just wasting CO2 essentially. We've also got brilliant clarity already. One thing I did forget to do was put the biofine in the keg pre-transfer. I always forget something. But it wouldn't be fucked up Fridays if I didn't fuck it up. Now would it? We're doing good. We're gonna get, just hold on tight there. We're gonna get what we need to get out of this baby. Oh yeah, that's getting full all right. Oh, see. So I think that may be the key. Any other Fermzilla users out there, did you just use the factory length of silicone tubing that they give you? Did you cut some off? Because like I have, like this is a great idea, but I have been having some issues with this kind of similar scenario. So I feel like cutting the line shorter will help me out with that. But for right now, we gotta get her done. And we haven't stirred up the sediment too bad. Like I'm not too concerned about that. One way you can know, I read that a full 5 gallons is about 41 pounds. So if you want to kind of monitor your transfer, there's also this cool thing from Kegline called the flow meter that will basically tell us how much has flowed through. I'm going to give that a shot on a video coming soon because I think it's pretty cool. Also a cool way to, if you want to run it on your keg out, to know when your keg's almost empty. Wouldn't that be fucking sweet? And they're not stupid expensive, they're not cheap, but compared to some of the like Raspberry Pi setups I've seen or some of the weight-based setups, it is super cheap. Like I almost feel like they give the same length of this tube. Like now that I'm actually thinking about it, I bet you if I opened up a 60 liter all-rounder, it would have the exact same length of tubing in there. And that's how they package them. SMRT. Still going. I'm like, we're gonna get almost every drop out of here still. It's just a little bit more work than I think is by design. All right, when it starts gurgling this time, I'm done. And there we go. And now we're gonna go down. So like normally for my ales, I'll do 12 PSI. But for this guy, I'm gonna leave it at somewhere between 13, 14. Are you gonna go down there? Okay, so that's 13. Now what I'm gonna do is and try and balance this out. You know what? F this. I have another regulator here without broken gauges. We'll set that boil up. Okay, open sesame. Oh, and this tank's empty. Fucked up Fridays indeed. Maybe this gauge doesn't suck. That one looks good. Let's try that one. Yeah. So we will go to 13 psi. So we've already gone down past that, so let us do. Oh wait, I'm at. So what are we actually reading here? Okay, good. So then we go like so. Okay, that gauge doesn't suck. Should have just used that one in the first place. That's blowing off at 12.5. Boom, perfect. So we pull that off. We are ready to put it in the fridge. We're gonna leave it for a few days to clear, get cold, and also like we've got partial carbonation, but we wanna make sure we got that good. And like I say, it's a light lager, so I want a little more crisp, a little bit more effervescent, but not ridiculous. So I'm just gonna go up that 1 PSI from what I normally do. Maybe some pro brewers out there, should I have gone to 14, 15 for a really light lager? What do you do? Let me know. And we will see you in, actually, let's open this up and see if this is a sulfur bomb. Because the whole point of this was not to test the fucking spunding valve. The whole point of this was to see if we could take a really, really, really sulfury yeast and ferment at room temperature. I think we fermented about 17 Celsius. I mean, maybe wait for that before I start talking. I mean, it is Pilsen lager. Czech lagers, you know, tend to have a little bit of sulfur to them. The smell of this is like a dead ringer for Budvar, actually. So there is a bit of a sulfury there, but this is also, remember, it's 2 weeks old and fermented at, like I was expecting, like if I were to just ferment this in a non-pressure fermenter at this temp, it would smell like rotten eggs or like propane in here. Not what you want. Having said that, if you do get that, if you keep aging it, if you lager it for 2-3 months, that will go away. I have made a couple sulfur bombs in my life, and time does heal those wounds. So remember that. But fucking success! Can't wait to taste it. This might be the best batch of Skulls Light yet. Who knows? See you in about a week for that. It's that sampling.
1 week later.
Hey brewers, we're back. Yes, I'm repping Rev again, Gear and Beer. If you haven't checked out their YouTube channel, great times. They just rip riffs. Sam is a sick motherfucker. And they talk about gear. Anyways, so this is our 2007, which should have been an egg bomb at room temperature, but we fermented under pressure in our Fermzilla 30 liter. Moment of truth. We're supposed to have a tiny sulfur note because it is 2007 Pilsen lager, but it's not supposed to be an egg bomb, so let's see. Look at the clarity. That's another thing about pressure fermenting, is just supposed to give you unbelievable clarity. I did not put Whirlfloc in this, oh no, I put Whirlfloc in it, but I don't think I put Biofine in the keg. Look at that. I see you. That is a beaut. Like, I can read grain to glass perfectly. Can you read grain to glass out of there? Is that all right? Wafting. Oh man. Yeah, tiny, tiny little sulfur note, which is exactly what you want for that Pilsen style. This may be the best Skulls Light yet. This may be better than the Snow Skulls, which was fucking delicious. Man, pressure lagers. Don't want a magic box, don't want a fridge, don't want to do anything to cool your beers while you make delicious lagers. Get yourself a Fermzilla 30 liter. Do that pressure fermenting under spunding valve. I did this at 14 PSI. This is fucking unreal. Another success. We're gonna have to start calling it fucking Fun Fridays or some shit. Woo! Don't get too fucked up. I'm about to, but I don't recommend it. I have to get a ride home today. We'll see you later. Hit that like and subscribe. Love you.